love having the #1 pick.
I hope that you would.
The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock.
It's go time, boss. You're going rogue.
Who are you going to take?
What's happening?
Who you picking?
The football world is in shock, wondering what exactly the Cleveland Browns' Sonny Weaver Jr. is cooking up here.
Hey guys, All the Way with Alloway here with the screenwriters of the film Draft Day, Rajiv Joseph and Scott Rothman. So I love that this is sort of writers taking on football, which is a different art form in itself. So how did you guys get involved with writing about this project?
We're big football fans ourselves.
Okay.
We met in graduate school at NYU, but the whole idea of it came to us from a friend of mine who was telling me about that she liked the draft, even though she wasn't a big football fan. And I was like, well, why do you like the draft if you're not a football fan? And she said, well, there's high stakes and a ticking clock. And we're like, oh, that sounds like a good movie.
Yeah.
And,
It's the basis of all drama.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what was the research process like? Because I feel like you guys really take the audience into the whole world. So for you guys, you know, you're football fans, but then there's a whole other side of it,
Right.
the business side.
That was, that was the toughest but most fun part of the process. We got really lucky. I have a sports writer friend who was able to hook us up with the Jets GM at the time, this guy Mike Tannenbaum, who was nice enough to give us a few hours on the phone. And that was invaluable. I mean, we used pretty much everything we got out of interviewing him and just finding out what his day's like on draft day, what his life's like outside of that. We had some of the bare bones of the story and we're able to bounce it off of him and say, hey, could this really happen? You know, does this really happen? So that was unbelievable. The access he gave us was invaluable.
For Kevin Costner's character and some of, Denis Leary, who were the guys that you looked to for inspiration? If you can say, you can reveal their identity.
Well, for Denis Leary, who plays the head coach of the Browns in this movie, we looked to a couple coaches. One of the coaches was John Gruden, and then another of the coaches, the old Houston Oilers coach, Jerry Glanville, who was a very larger-than-life, bombastic figure. And we kind of combined those and came up with the character of Vince Penn.
And that was in the writing of the script, and then when Dennis came on board, he is personal friends with Bill Belichick on the Patriots, and he used him a lot for his inspiration of the portrayal of Vince Penn.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and I feel like watching it, I was a little intimidated. I was like, a football movie. Oh my gosh, I know baseball, I don't know nothing about football. But I feel like the consensus between me and, leaving the screening, everyone's like, I really could understand sort of the language. So for you guys as writers, I think this applies to politics, whether you're watching House of Cards or, sports. How do you take on the challenge of, challenging the audience, but also making it understandable for people like me who don't know nothing?
That was the big challenge for us. We wanted this to be a movie that appealed to diehard football fans like ourselves, or even more intense people who are maybe looking to see if anything was missed, and also don't want to be condescended to.
Right.
But then also make it kind of an open story for people who don't have any idea about sports. And I think that the way that we did that is that we made this movie, at the heart of it is really a human story about a man who's just found out that his father has passed away and has also just found out that he's going to be a father. And that kind of domestic drama that's placed within the kind of crucible of the draft is why I think that this, at the end of the day, you care about the characters.
Yeah, you have Kevin Costner, who's just amazing, always. But we know him for for baseball movies, Field of Dreams, and now he's in a football movie. So was he your first choice? What was it like working with someone like him that's such a cultured actor and has done a lot of sports movies?
I mean, that was part of the appeal of Kevin, was that he has such a pedigree with Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Tin Cup, For the Love of the Game, and it's not with him. Yes, those are mostly baseball movies, but he's a sportsman, in the truest sense, and I think that he embodies like a sort of kind of athletic, masculinity that moviegoers always respond to. And then to work with him was a joy. I mean, he's a very intense guy who cares about the script deeply, and we were in his trailer every morning going over the script for that day and talking about him and just kind of going every line. And
he's such a perfectionist, and just to see someone like him and take it so seriously and really hone in on what he does best and wanting to teach us what he does best, so we could all look good at the end of the day, was kind of amazing. He also brought us to a few Cleveland Indian games, which was pretty
This
incredible.
sounds just
Yeah.
glorious. The fact that they even let the writers on set is
It's
amazing.
Yeah,
I love
really
that trailer.
unbelievable experience.
It's not a usual thing for
Yeah.
the writers to be on set.
We're
We're on
very
set
lucky.
every day,
That's
and,
so great.
and a real part of the process, which was really nice.
Well, and I also really love Jennifer Garner as Allie. I thought that was such a refreshing character to have in a sports film. You know, it's a woman in a man's world. So why did you feel like her character? I've always thought you had a knack in your plays writing female voices, but why was that female character important for a movie like this?
I think that, that there's this idea that's kind of antiquated that sports is a male-centric entertainment, and it's not anymore. I mean, the popularity of sports, the presence of sports in our culture is so overwhelming now that to say that it only belongs to men is a lie. Women love sports. Some of the biggest fans I know are women, and so we were not. It was not challenging to imagine a woman who might be involved in that world, and it was really fun to write her character and to pair her with this character that Kevin plays, and then of course it was a real thrill to watch Jennifer and Kevin kind of work together and see the sparks fly.
I know, it was like, there's romance. I was like, Kevin Costner still got it. And the whole time you're watching the movie, you're sort of watching Kevin Costner conflicted with, like, he knows his picks in his gut, but everyone's telling him not to pick that. So I can't help but see that sort of mirrors being a writer. So for you guys writing a situation like that, are there projects where you, like Kevin Costner's character, had to sort of go, I'm going to trust my gut with this one no matter what anyone's telling me about it?
I think you do that every single day as a writer. You are balancing what you believe in your heart and what gave you the inspiration to sit down and stare at that blank page and put it down. But you also have this voice in your head like, no, will anyone else like this? Or they're looking for this, or they want, like, I don't know, like a talking dog or something, but I don't want to use a talking dog. You're faced with that decision constantly, and it's just trying to find the balance. And ultimately, I mean, what we believe we do best is when people hire us or we write something on our own, it's about our voice, and you don't want anything to kind of get in the way of that. And you just have to kind of tamp down kind of all the other voices in your head and trust your own.
And were there any other parallels, once you finish the movie and you've been in this world of football and going to whatever, Cleveland, Ohio, the Kevin Costner, Cleveland Browns. Clearly I don't know anything about football. But you're like in this world of football. In what ways, besides the one I just brought up, did you feel like sports really do parallel sort of the film industry as their own sort of separate art forms?
Yeah, I mean, the wheeling and dealing that, our movie depicts, the constant phone calls, can we get this guy? I mean, it's exactly mirrors
exactly the same.
Hollywood. I mean, it's the same exact thing. We were just telling the story of the night before we went to shoot at the draft, we still didn't know which team we were going to be depicting that later would become Seattle. And we're having dinner with Ivan, and Ivan's phone is just going crazy with all these different teams saying, can we be the team? Or, can we get in the movie in some way? And he's saying like, okay, but I need an answer in 15 minutes, or it's going to be this other team. I mean, it was directly, the meta of this entire experience has been overwhelming.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what are you guys doing next? You writing about hockey, or like done with sports for a while? What projects do you guys have? Are you going to be writing together again?
We are. It's one of the great things that's come out of this. When we first started writing this project, we were just great friends who thought it'd be fun to write about football, but one of the really nice things that's come out of it is we really are truly screenwriting partners now, which is great. So we're working on a few things. We're doing something at Warner Brothers for Bradley Cooper.
Nice.
And we're just kind of looking for the next great project.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Sheesh.